Alright, hey guys. Just want to say thank you for purchasing the asset. Uh, I hope it's something you're going to use and you'll be able to get the hang of it and make it your own and do wonderful things. But anyways, let's just go over it. So right off the bat, I just want to say the game instance is not needed as just for my menu to tell the demo whether you're doing an endless game or a wave-based game. Obviously, you can keep that logic there if you wanted that to be determined inside of your main menu. But literally all it contains is just endless mode. Game mode. I don't really have an order of... I probably should have put an order of the way I should go through all of this, but I did not, so I apologize. But we're just going to go down the list. Game mode. This is where it all starts. First, you're going to get your endless mode variable from the game instance, from the main menu. Then it's going to get and set the reference to the spawn manager and then the player. And this is where it takes the points and then puts it to the UI. It does the calculations for the stats and then puts in the UI widgets. Let's see. Wave system. So whenever you start the wave game, this is what gets called first from the spawn system, right? Yeah. So, alright, so what happens is the player gets spawned into the world. When the player gets spawned into the world, the spawn manager gets attached to the player. The spawn manager gets spawned in and attached to the player. At that point, it's going to get and set the references. It's going to do a small delay, which I had that there. You can remove that if you don't need it. I had it there just to make sure everything loaded up in time. This will check if it's an endless or wave-based, and depending on which one it is, it will execute the function that it needs. Which at this point it goes to, let's say it's the wave game. It's going to go right here. It's going to turn on all the UI objects that need to be turned on to show the countdown. It's going to start the countdown. And it's going to actually start the actual game, which is back in the spawn manager right here. So you got your wave base starts here. This is the time between enemy spawns. This is not used for the wave game because they're all instant. I think I had that there because I was going to use it, or you can use it. It's just not set up for it yet. Well, not yet, but it's just not set for it for the type of game that it was. Yeah, so it spawns the enemy. It's gonna set up the UI widgets how it needs to be. It's gonna show what it needs to show. Alright, it's gonna go to the data table. It's gonna get the first row. And then it's gonna get the enemy that needs to be spawned. It's gonna set it, and it's just gonna start spawning them in. Right here is where it calculates where the AI is going to be spawned. It gets a random angle from 0 to 360 degrees. And then it gets a random radius between your min and max spawn radius. So pretty much what it means is when it spawns, it's going to spawn that far out at this angle around the player. And it's going to get the spawner location, which is the player, pretty much the player's location. And it's going to factor all that in. Then it's actually going to get it, set the offsets, and it's going to spawn the AI there. Let's see, it spawns it. It sets the AI stats that you have set the data table. It will let you know that, hey, there was one put in there, and it will set the max enemies in that wave. So pretty much the 10 that you see. This lets you know that, hey, you gotta get 10 of them. Well, it just lets you know that if you got the 10. Right here is the multipliers. In the game mode, you can set all your multipliers up right here. Set for however you want it. And if you have it enabled, they will each... Actually, I wonder if I forget how that works in the endless. I think each AI... I think that's what it is. I think each AI ends up becoming stronger. I'm actually not sure about that one. Let's see. Bug or feature. Anyways. So that's how they get spawned in. Now when an AI runs into the player, and the player doesn't actually kill it, but the AI just gets destroyed by running into the player, this is where it calls for the respawn. It will, right here. Wait, no, it's actually it's set on the AI itself. But this is the respawn logic. It pretty much takes that AI's data, gets a new random location for it to spawn, and it just respawns. That's for that one. Endless mode is pretty much the same thing. The time between enemy waves, this does count. I mean, enemy spawns. That is set in the data table. It loops through. I wonder if you set that to looping, if that would make them come out one by one. I don't know. Maybe. So here, same thing. It'll check for the next wave. Wait, actually, we didn't even go over the rest of this. Right here, after it completes all that, it's going to see if that wave is finished. And this is how it determines if it's finished. Then it'll clear the timer right here. It'll stop spawning them. And then it'll calculate the next wave. This goes back into the game mode. It'll take the wave, add it to 1. There's your next wave. And then right here, it resets everything after each wave. That way it's all back to your original wave stats at the very beginning. And then this is where it sets the enemy spawn timers. For like the waves, the time between the waves and the time that the enemies actually spawn separate from each other, apart from each other. Alright, now, endless game. Same thing pretty much. Except we're spawning them in one by one. And this right here is determining whether or not they need to be infinitely spawned, or if it is a special enemy or a boss. If it's a special enemy or a boss, well, integer greater than 0, true. Okay, this is where it goes for the bosses. It takes the specified amount, spawns it in, uses our AI spawning logic, spawns the character in, sets the stats. For here, for the infinitely spawned ones, it just keeps on going. Same stuff, spawns them in. It lets it know that, how many it spawned in already. Before the next wave comes, the player has to have reached. Okay, so for this, this is all set in the data table. You set the level the player has to be to go to the next round. Well, you're not setting it, but you're letting it know that you either have to be this level to go to the next round, or you have to have killed these this amount of enemies in this wave. Round number in waves. No, you have to have. You would have had to reach a certain round, the end round, or have reached a certain level. Yeah, there it is. So it's either you reach level 10, or you finish all the rounds in the wave. So let's say you end up reaching level 10, and you're only on round 6 of 10. Well, it's still going to continue you to the next wave. That way, I put that in there to kind of get rid of the overpowerness. You're leveled up. You're so strong. It's just the enemies are just gonna feel too weak, I guess. Best something you can either add, replace, get rid of. So if it has not reach any of these conditions, it's just going to go to the next round. I mean, it's going to go to false. It's going to see how many enemies have spawned. If the round enemy spawn this wave. Okay, yeah. Yes, that's all that, and this sets our multipliers here. Sweet. And here you could change the this as well. Let's see. And then once we calculate a new wave, it goes back and resets this so the new special or new bosses can get spawned in. So that's that. Probably butchered all of that explanation. Let's see. The set initial spawn rate in the data table for the first wave, and this is for wave and endless, the time that you set for time between waves, like it says right here, first wave sets start countdown for next wave and endless. What the heck does that say? First wave sets. Oh, okay. Yeah, the first wave that sets should be capitalized. That's throwing me off. Why is everything capitalized? Anyways, that's what sets the countdown timer for when you start the game. So right when you start in, it says 5. That's what sets it. Alright. If I am missing anything in these videos that y'all need a better explanation on, please reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to even hop in Discord and do some screen sharing. Let's see, these are going to be important, but at the moment... Okay, so whenever you kill an AI, this is how it sends the data to the game mode from the AI character. Handles your points, your add kill, add the score. We're going to see that right now. I just want to show you that really quick. Alright, so here's the AI master. Alright, so here we cast to get and set references for the game mode and player character. We set our dynamic materials for the AI, and this is what allows us to change the tint of the AI. Right here, if your AI that you use, you have more materials, you can just copy this, paste it there, and just keep adding. Once this is done, it lets the game know that, hey, the AI is ready for its logic. At that point, it'll come here, like, is it ready? Cool. If not, it'll just do a little delay and keep cycling until it's ready. This is a dormant check to see if the AI is obviously out of range or not. If it is not, it will check to see if it has a behavior tree. This AI does not have a behavior tree, so it just goes to a basic move to player logic. Once it reaches the player, it does the damage to deal amount, which is set in the data table. If the AI, this is where if the AI runs into the player, it will destroy the actor and then respawn it back into the game. Even if it had a behavior tree, it'll re-pick up that behavior tree and all the other stats that it had. Here's the dormancy check. It'll check to see if it's dormant or not. It'll check the distance from the player. It'll go through its conditions to see if it needs to be or not. If it does, it'll make it go dormant. If not, it'll toggle it off. If it's within range again, it'll toggle the dormancy off. But for the dormancy state, it checks it to see if it's dormant. If it is, it's going to hide it from the game. It's going to change the tick interval. That way it slows down. We don't use that many resources as it's dormant. It will remove the behavior tree, and it will do a simple, just basic move to actor. That's all it does. And then once it becomes back in range, it'll become unhidden. It'll run its behavior tree. It'll get its normal tick back time. And then it will set this back to We'll go back to the check to make it, see if it's dormant or not. Give it its new logic, pretty much. Its new logic again. Alright. Here, this is for whenever we do spawn our AI in the spawn manager. When it sets the variables, this is how it sets it. It just calls that in. Just sets it all right here. It's fun stuff. Then we have our death logic. When the AI dies, it'll let the game know that, hey, you killed an AI. So it's going to go toward that counter, and it's going to check if it finished or not. If it does, awesome. If not, awesome. Right here is where it sends the stats. So receive experience. This is on the player. We'll go over the player here in a second. Why did we not start with the player? Yeah, I didn't. This is going to send the... Oh, this is all set in the data table, so we don't really even need to touch this, right? Stats. XP to give, do not touch. Set by the data table. This is where the points come in. If you need to give points, you do drop down points and you hook in the amount of points. For the score, the new score to add, put in the new score to add. For kills, you don't have to do anything except just put it to kill. It'll automatically increment it by 1. And then once it sends all that, it destroys the actor. And that is pretty much it for that, except for if we look over here, what we're going to want to do to make it, I'll go over all that at once together. Uno momento. Let's go to the player. Casting, setting our input mode. We're putting our wave HUD widget up on the screen. Now we're creating it, setting it, and then adding it to the viewport. Here's the spawn manager that we're spawning in and attaching to the player. This is all just basic movement logic, except for this stuff. Basic shooting. You can build off that if you want. Ain't gonna hurt my feelings. It's pretty basic. Taking damage, again, pretty basic. Keep it, use it, throw it away. All the sound files that come in this are professionally created by yours truly. They're really not that good. I'm gonna laugh if you use those. That'd be really funny. But they're there just to add a little bit of something to the silence. But anywho, that's the player. And then on death, it's going to remove all the widgets. It's going to calculate the high score that you got from all your rounds and waves. It's going to add the game over widget to the viewport. It's going to set your input mode, that way you can interact with the main menu or retry button. And then the main menu takes you to the main menu. Retry takes you, pretty much just reloads the world and starts all over again. But let's look at something here. Okay, AI player. So what we want to do to get the AI and the world to work right. So this is for an endless world, like if you had any type of like level streaming or any type of level generation, or it's just a really big map, even with level streaming, whichever. What you're going to want to do is make your map as big as you want it. This is a pretty decent sized map. It scales 500, 500. You're going to take you're going to put your nav mesh bounds out and put it out as big as you want it, really. It could be huge, doesn't matter. It's not going to create that navigation mesh down, because what we're going to do is we're going to use the invoker on it, so that way it's only spawning the nav mesh. It's only building the nav mesh where the AI or the player is, or anything else that needs the nav mesh. So what we're going to do is go to project settings. Let me see if I can remember where this is. Navigation mesh. Right here. So navigation mesh, you're going to go down to runtime generation. This does matter. I'm not too sure. Well, I mean, I guess it makes sense. It does need to be dynamic. It does not work if it's on static. Just to let you know. Alright, so that needs to be set. Once that's set, go here, put your nav mesh bounds out. Go to recast, and just make sure that also down here it's still set to dynamic. I'm not sure if those change each other or if you got to change one and then change the other or not, but just make sure it's set to dynamic. That way you don't have any issues. Then at that point, we're going to go to your player. You're going to add, and you got your navigation invoker. Here, you're going to set the distance that you want your tiles to be generated and the distance you want them to be removed. So they're going to be generating at 6,500 units and then removing at 7,000 units. It's kind of big. Don't really need it that big. Yeah, and then uncheck can never affect navigation if it is checked. Not sure if that matters, but I do just to be safe. Next, go to your AI master and do the exact same thing. I made the AI master one a bit bigger. Like I said, play with it, figure out what you need. Also, can never affect navigation. Uncheck that. And is that it? I feel like there was something else. No, there's something else. I'm missing something. It's like a only draw. Where is it at? It's like only draw navigation around player. Yeah, generate. Here we go. Here we go, guys. Sorry. So, navigation enforcing. Generate navigation only around navigation invokers. Make sure that's checked. If you don't, your really big nav mesh is going to cause problems. This ensures that the entirety of your nav mesh does not get generated. It only generates it around actors that have the navigation invoker on it. And that's really what saves the day. It really is. I mean, you just make one big nav mesh and you're covered, regardless. But I think that might be it, guys. Basic projectile. I mean, if you want to look at it, you can. Just determines if it's AI. This is where the AI tag is. I was wondering about that. Yeah, AI. So this determines if it's AI. If it is, then it'll apply the damage. Pretty simple. Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. If you have any more questions, anything I missed, anything you would like for me to cover a little bit more on, feel free to ask, and I will do so. You guys have a great day. Thank you.